All right, so you've probably heard the buzz around Google's new AI model, FunctionGemma. The big promise here is an AI tool that lives right in your pocket, running directly on your phone. But what does that actually mean for you and me? Let's dive in and figure it out.
You know, the dream has always been to just talk to your phone and have it do things. Not by sending your voice command to some server farm 1,000 miles away, but by figuring it out right there, in your hand, instantly, and completely privately. That's the whole idea behind on-device AI, and it's what FunctionGemma is all about. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Google's own developers put it perfectly. The goal is to translate natural language into executable actions which you can run entirely on device, basically turning our words into actions, no internet required. Which, of course, brings up one very big question.
So yeah, the first thing on everyone's mind is this it? Is this the next-gen voice assistant that's going to blow Siri or the Google Assistant out of the water? It's a really exciting thought, but the reality is a little more complicated than that.
This is where we need to kind of pull back the curtain and separate the initial hype from the nuts and bolts reality. Because when you dig into the actual documentation, past all the shiny marketing, you start to see a very different and honestly a more interesting picture.
Okay, so here's the absolute biggest thing to understand. FunctionGemma is not an app you can just go download. It's not a finished assistant. Think of it more like a powerful engine. It's a tool made specifically for developers to build with. They get the engine, but they have to build the car around it.
Now, I want you to look at this number for a second. 58%. Just let that sink in. This single number tells you almost everything you need to know about what FunctionGemma really is and what it isn't.
So what is that 58%? Well, that's the reported accuracy of the model right out of the box, with zero special training. That means, in its raw state, it could get your command wrong almost half the time. Now, that's not something you'd ever accept from a polished product, right? And that tells us again, we're not looking at the finished car, we're looking at the raw engine.
To really get what's going on here, we have to talk about its one special skill. It's a techie-sounding term, but it's called function calling. This is the secret sauce, the bridge that connects the words we speak to the actions our apps can take.
Let's break that down. When you say something simple like turn on the flashlight, function calling is the magic that happens in the middle. It takes your casual human words and translates them into a very specific, structured command that the flashlight app actually understands. It's basically the universal translator between you and your software.
So why should you even care that this is happening on your phone? Well, there are huge advantages. First up, privacy. Your data, your commands, they never leave your device. Period. Then there's speed. No lag, no waiting for a server. It also means it works when you're completely offline, and for developers, it's way cheaper, which means they can build more powerful stuff for all of us.
Okay, so if the model is only right about 58% of the time out of the box, how on earth do you fix that? The answer is a process called fine-tuning. This is how a developer takes that general-purpose engine and turns it into a high-performance specialist that's an expert at one specific job.
And Google's own guide says it best. The real magic isn't just knowing a list of commands. It's about understanding intent. It's the why and the when behind what a user is asking. And that's exactly where a general model can get tripped up.
This brings us to a very specific challenge called tool selection ambiguity. Now that sounds super technical, but the idea is actually incredibly simple. It's all about the AI knowing which tool to grab from its toolbox when it has more than one option.
And this slide illustrates the problem perfectly. Let's say an app has two search tools, one for secret internal company info and one for the public internet. If you ask, what is our travel reimbursement limit, the AI needs to know to look internally. But if you ask who won the World Series last year, it better search the web. A base model can get really confused about which tool to use.
So the big question is, does this fine-tuning thing actually work? Well, Google gives us the receipts, a really clear, data-driven look at the difference it makes. And trust me, the results are pretty dramatic.
Just look at this. In a test designed specifically for that tool selection problem, the basic, untuned model had a success rate of only 10%. A measly 10%. But after they fine-tuned it with specific examples, that success rate skyrocketed to 80%. I mean, that's a night and day difference.
To put that in just plain numbers, the base model chose the right tool only 2 times out of 20 questions. After fine-tuning, it got it right 16 out of 20 times. This is the hard proof that fine-tuning is what really unlocks the power of a model like FunctionGemma.
So, after all that, what's the big takeaway here? It's that FunctionGemma isn't some magic assistant that's ready for you and me to use today. Instead, it's a powerful new building block for the people who actually create the apps we use every single day.
For a developer, getting FunctionGemma is like getting a new box of high-tech Legos. It's a starting point for them to build their own custom AI features. They can create tiny, specialized expert models that do one thing incredibly well, and that lets them build features that are private, super fast, work offline, and don't cost a fortune to run.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating final thought. We've seen that this isn't about creating one giant, all-knowing AI. It's about giving developers the power to create thousands of tiny, specialized experts. So the real question is, if every single app on your phone can have its own perfectly tuned AI brain for any task, what incredible new things are our devices going to be able to do for us next?